Have you ever had this moment? You're standing right in front of someone, not a stranger, not really. You've met them before, at least once, maybe twice, maybe more. They look at you, smile, and say your name naturally, and you have nothing. Their name isn't on the tip of your tongue. It's not almost there. It's just gone, cleanly erased, as if it was never there in the first place. And in the next 10 seconds, you stop being yourself. You become a performer. You smile. You nod. You stretch the conversation just enough to survive. You angle your body slightly, hoping someone else will say their name first. You glance at their phone, praying a notification appears. You even wish for something absurd. A distraction, an interruption, anything, just to avoid saying their name. If that's ever been you, listen carefully. You are not careless, and you are not unintelligent. There's something very specific happening inside your brain. When you meet someone new, your brain isn't just hearing a name, it's doing everything at once. Reading facial expressions, analyzing tone, figuring out social positioning, asking, do they like me? Do I like them? What should I say next? Am I making enough eye contact? Was that awkward? Is my voice normal? Your working memory is overloaded, and right in the middle of that cognitive chaos, someone hands you a single arbitrary sound. Hi, I'm Kevin. Kevin, that's it. No image, no emotional weight, no connection, just a label floating in a brain that's already too busy. There's a well-known concept in psychology called the Baker-Baker paradox. If you're told someone is a baker, oh, you remember it easily because it connects. Flour, bread, heat, early mornings. But if their last name is Baker, your brain has nothing to grab onto. Same word, completely different retention, because meaning matters, and names usually don't have any. Think about the last emotionally significant event you experienced. What do you remember? Not the structured details, not the printed text. You remember the feeling, the atmosphere, a sentence that hit you, the look on someone's face. Memory doesn't store reality evenly. It prioritizes. Emotion gets stored. Surprise gets stored. Connection gets stored. Random, contextless information discarded. Names often fall into that category. Now here's the uncomfortable part. The people who forget names the most are often the ones most trapped inside their own heads. Not because they're arrogant, because they're hyper aware. While someone is introducing themselves, their internal dialogue is loud. Am I coming off weird? Did I interrupt them? Should I say something smarter? Do they like me? The name enters and gets overwritten immediately. There's something called the next in line effect. When you're waiting for your turn to speak, you barely remember what the previous person said because mentally you've already moved forward. You're rehearsing, anticipating, editing yourself. If you live in that state constantly, you're never fully present. And when the name is said, you're already somewhere else. So here's the reframe. You don't have a memory problem. You have an attention problem, and those are not the same thing. Now let's shift perspectives. Usually the person whose name you forgot, what they feel is real. When someone forgets your name, it lands like a message. I didn't matter enough to be remembered. Even if that's completely false. That's how the brain interprets it. But here's what most people get wrong about memory. It's not a recording device. It doesn't store everything equally. It stores impressions, emotions, fragments, patterns, and it filters ruthlessly. High emotion, stored. Meaningful connection, stored. Something tied to existing knowledge, stored. A random sound given to you while you were trying to function socially, probably gone. There's a specific type of person who forgets names easily, but remembers everything else. They remember conversations, tone shifts, the way someone laughed, a strange opinion that stuck. Like a tiny detail from years ago. Their brain doesn't prioritize labels, it prioritizes experience. And here's the part no one tells you. That's not a flaw, that's a different cognitive architecture. These people tend to be more emotionally attuned, more associative in thinking, better at reading nuance, better at remembering what actually matters, but worse at storing mechanical, disconnected information. If you've been this person your whole life, you've probably labeled yourself in a certain way. I'm forgetful. I'm bad with names. I'm kind of careless. But pause for a second and change the label. You're not careless. You're overloaded. You're not bad at memory. You're deep in internal processing. And maybe you've never noticed this. People often feel understood around you. You may forget their name. Oh, but you remember how they felt. You remember what mattered to them. And sometimes that matters far more. That doesn't mean you can't improve. You can. And the solution is simple, but intentional. Repeat the name immediately. Not for politeness, for encoding. Attach it to something, a face, a person you know, a visual. You're doing manually what your brain didn't do automatically. You're building a bridge, but there's one thing you need to let go of: the quiet shame, that subtle belief that forgetting names makes you a bad person. It doesn't, and it never did. Think about this carefully. A person's name is something they were given before they became anything, but what you remember about them is who they actually are. You don't remember the label, you remember the human. So if you've ever felt guilty about this, maybe it's time to reevaluate, not to excuse it, but to understand it properly. You're not broken, you're different. And sometimes that difference is exactly why you connect more deeply than most people ever will. If you've made it this far, there's a good chance you saw yourself somewhere in this. And if you did, you're not alone. There are a lot of people like you. They just don't talk about it. And maybe next time you forget someone's name, you'll still feel a little awkward, but you won't think there's something wrong with me. You'll think my brain is doing what it always does. And once you understand that, something shifts. You slow down, you become more present, you judge yourself less, and that changes the way you connect with people. Not perfect memory, but real presence.